From abandoning passengers on a crashing plane, to making fun of Maeve's sexuality, and even driving a woman to suicide, Homelander from The Boys was a pretty evil person. In this video, I'm gonna go through 10 times Homelander was an evil douche, starting with the plane crash. Superheroes are meant to save lives, but for Homelander, it's a starkly different story. In one of the most chilling moments of The Boys, he revealed his utter disregard for human life. When a hijacked plane presented an opportunity for a potential PR victory, Homelander and Queen Maeve arrived to take control of the situation. At first, things seemed under control. Homelander swiftly eliminated the hijackers using his laser vision to take one out instantly. However, in classic Homelander fashion, he went too far in his violence and destroyed the plane's controls. With the pilots dead and the plane critically damaged, saving both the aircraft and its passengers became completely impossible. Instead of trying to save even a few passengers, Homelander coldly dismissed the idea, reasoning that if he couldn't save everyone, it wasn't worth saving anyone.
Take these two!
No.
Just these two!
No,
please.
what? So they could tell the world that we left the rest of them to fucking die?
Come on!
No, Maeve. No, you stay back! All of you, stay back! You stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit!
Despite Queen Maeve's pleas, he remained indifferent, mocking her compassion as the terrified passengers plunged helplessly towards the ocean. Maeve was left haunted by guilt, while Homelander, being the psychopath he is, twisted the tragedy into propaganda, blaming government inefficiency and pushing for Vought and the Seven to control national defense. The plane crash marked a turning point for Maeve, sparking her rebellion against Homelander and straining their relationship. Public trust in heroes eroded, deepening tensions between supes and regular people. Meanwhile, Homelander grew bolder, realizing that he could manipulate any tragedy to his advantage. This moment perfectly showcased how Homelander's sociopathy allowed him to exploit any situation for power and control, regardless of the cost. But his treatment of his closest ally, the person he claimed to love, revealed just how deeply twisted his need for dominance truly was. Which brings me onto the second incident of this video. Madelyn Stillwell, Vought's executive vice president and one of the few who could control Homelander, met a brutal end at his hands. Though she managed him with flattery and treated him like a needy child to keep his ego in check, their fractured relationship fueled his growing suspicions. The turning point came when Homelander, Stillwell, and Butcher collided in a moment of betrayal. Homelander discovered Stillwell's lie about his son, destroying the trust she had carefully built with him. Butcher, seeking revenge, had tracked her down, planning to use her as leverage against Homelander, believing she was his only weakness, completely unaware of what Homelander would do next. In a chilling moment, Homelander confronted Stillwell about his son, demanding honestly.
I'm so sorry. I should never have lied to you. I know now that you don't need to be protected. I'm so sorry. Will you please take Daddy upstairs?
When she confessed, Homelander instantly killed her with his laser vision, obliterating both her skull and Butcher's leverage. Butcher could only watch in horror as the brutal act unfolded. This was Homelander's chilling declaration that no one could control him. By ruthlessly killing Stillwell, the one person he trusted and loved, he revealed his cold and psychopathic nature, devoid of empathy and consumed by a thirst for dominance. Her death plunged Vought into chaos and removed the last restraint on his darkest impulses. This moment marked Homelander's transformation from a corporate pawn to an uncontrollable force of destruction. I was personally really surprised when Homelander killed Stillwell. I was not expecting it. Subscribe if you weren't expecting it either. Homelander's pure evil surfaces again when he reveals his complete intolerance for perceived weakness, as shown with the introduction of Blindspot, a skilled superhero with a disability. Blindspot's addition for the Seven showcased his extraordinary abilities, impressing everyone with his combat and sensory skills. Initially, Homelander appeared impressed, praising Blindspot, but the situation quickly took a dark turn. With a cruel smirk, Homelander asked what Blindspot would do if his hearing were compromised. Before he can answer, Homelander clapped with superhuman force, rupturing his eardrums, leaving him in agony to die.
And now you're just another useless fucking blind guy. This must be some kind of a joke.
Ashley was left horrified by what she had just witnessed, struggling to process the brutality that she had just seen. Blindspot's injury not only shocked her to her core, but also reinforced the fear Homelander instilled in everyone around him. It sent a clear message that any perceived weakness or imperfection had no place in his vision of the Seven. This moment highlighted Homelander's descent into pure evil as he distanced himself from other supes within Vought. They no longer saw him as a leader, but as a ruthless dictator. His readiness to harm even his admirers revealed his growing cruelty and obsession with his twisted ideals. I mean, what kind of evil psychopath does that? Do you guys think that Blindspot could have been a cool member of Team 7? Comment down below and let me know. If crushing Blindspot's dreams wasn't proof enough of Homelander's obsession with absolute power, his next act, forcing his own son to meet impossible expectations, took his cruelty to a whole new level. Homelander's evil wasn't limited to strangers or teammates, it extended to his own son. Ryan, who deserved a nurturing father, instead faced the harsh reality of being raised by one of the most ruthless villains in TV history, a truth he came to realize in the most painful way possible. The incident began innocently, with Homelander having breakfast with Ryan and Becca, presenting the image of a happy family. However, it quickly became clear that Homelander had no regard for Becca's boundaries or Ryan's feelings. After breakfast, he took Ryan outside and urged him to jump off the roof, insisting this would be the best way for him to learn his powers. Kind of like learning to ride a bike.
Wait, you can't be serious. I'm not gonna jump.
Ryan, you're my son. You can fly, just like me.
I don't want to.
You take a big deep breath, you step off, and your body will just do the rest. It'll just take over.
Ryan, visibly anxious, refused and begged his father not to make him do it. Homelander's patience quickly wore thin. When Ryan refused again, he abruptly shoved him off the roof without warning. Ryan hit the ground with a thud, but while Becca was relieved, he was unharmed. Homelander's response was chilling. Instead of concern, he mocked Becca, accusing her of raising Ryan to be weak and calling him a pussy. This callous reaction really shows his cruelty, lack of empathy, and his evilness. But that's not all. The tension escalated when Homelander grabbed Becca's wrist, ignoring her pleas to let go. In a burst of fury, self-defense, and love for his mother, Ryan unleashed his powers for the very first time, pushing Homelander to the ground and demanding that he leave them alone. Homelander's reaction was disturbingly cold. Instead of concern for his son, he seemed almost pleased, as if his cruelty had finally achieved the result he wanted. This twisted display of parenting again showed us how evil he was. Now, don't judge me for this, but I kinda found it funny when he knocked Ryan off. I don't know why, it was just funny to me. Well, the next point in this video doesn't involve violence. What Homelander did was arguably just as evil as exposing, manipulating, and using Maeve's sexuality. Queen Maeve's romantic relationship with Elena was deeply personal and kept private. However, once Homelander learned of it, driven by his need for control and attention, he exposed her sexuality live on television during a talk show while being questioned about diversity within the Seven. What could have been a moment of empowerment became a PR stunt, orchestrated without Maeve's consent to bolster Vaught's image.
We have a gay hero.
Really? Who in the Seven is gay?
Queen Maeve.
Homelander exposed Maeve's sexuality under the guise of supporting LGBTQ+ representation, but his true intent was far more sinister. After the cameras were off, he ridiculed Maeve for her relationship, pressuring her to conform to a lesbian hero image for Vaught's marketing, completely disregarding her identity and dismissing her protests that she was bisexual. This invasion of Maeve's privacy was a stark reminder of how little control she had under his oppressive rule. Homelander weaponized Maeve's sexuality to further his agenda, demonstrating how his need for dominance and manipulation far outweighed any sense of decency or regard for others' emotions. Betrayed and humiliated, Maeve's resentment grew, pushing her closer to rebellion. And I mean, can you really blame her? I mean, I can't. And Homelander was just a douche. However, this doesn't compare to the evil we see Homelander carry out in the next incident. Doppelganger, a shapeshifter, could transform into anyone, even taking on their voice and appearance. After Madelyn Stillwell's death, Homelander, in his typical manipulative fashion, abused Doppelganger's abilities to satisfy his twisted desires. He forced Doppelganger to transform into Stillwell, indulging in the fantasy of the sexual relationship he always wanted with her. This abuse escalated when Doppelganger morphed into Homelander himself, believing that by becoming his hero, Homelander might finally love him. However, in a shocking display of cruelty, Homelander snapped Doppelganger's neck without hesitation. It was a cold rejection, driven by Homelander's overwhelming need for control and superiority. Instead of recognizing Doppelganger as a person, Homelander saw him as a tool to be discarded when no longer useful. This cruel act revealed Homelander's complete lack of empathy, showing that his need to assert his superiority outweighed any traces of humanity. His reaction to Doppelganger's transformation revealed just how dangerous and twisted his desire for control had become, pushing him further into evil. This for me was definitely one of the weirdest scenes in the whole show, and subscribe if you agree with me. While that act was disturbing, the next one in this video is pure, unrestrained evil. Superheroes are meant to protect lives, not destroy them. But for Homelander, his warped cruelty overshadowed any notion of heroism. The moment began when Homelander, on a rooftop, approached a young woman standing on the edge, ready to end her life. At first, he seemed like her savior, speaking calmly, but when he saw a screen showing news of Stormfront's suicide on his birthday, his calm quickly shattered. Instead of grief, Homelander's frustration turned into cold cruelty. His tone shifted, and he ordered the girl to jump, despite her change of heart.
You know what, Chelsea? I think you should jump.
I don't think I want to.
You don't want to? Why don't you show a little follow-through, Chelsea? Jump.
Please, I just want to get
I'm not
down.
suggesting anymore. Jump.
When she hesitated, his anger flared, and in a harsh, commanding voice, he forced her to leap to her death. He watched without remorse as the crowd below was left horrified. This incident marked a dangerous shift in Homelander's behavior, signaling his unraveling emotional state and growing instability. It deepened the divide between him and the world he once claimed to protect, leaving the public questioning his stability as a hero. Homelander's actions here exemplified his sociopathy. Even in personal loss, he used his power to assert dominance over someone vulnerable, with no regard for their life. In my opinion, this is arguably one of his most evil moments in the show. Let me know what you think. But his descent into open tyranny begins to show when he reveals his true feelings at a public rally. By season 3, cracks begin to appear in Homelander's carefully crafted public image. His approval ratings plummeted, and for someone who thrived on adoration, it was a serious blow to his ego. The situation came to a head during a public rally. As his PR team scrambled to salvage his reputation, Homelander couldn't resist revealing his true feelings. In a shocking outburst, he ranted about his superiority, accusing the public of being ungrateful and weak. His words, filled with rage and arrogance, exposed the depth of his contempt for others.
Starlight lied to you just now. She did. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
For the first time, the mask began to fall. While some in the crowd were horrified, others applauded his raw honesty, fueling his narcissism. Homelander walked away with a dangerous realization. He didn't need everyone's approval, just enough followers willing to support him no matter how extreme his actions became, something which might apply to certain figures in the real world today. This moment marked the start of his descent into open tyranny, fully revealing his true evil. The rally exposed the cracks in his heroic facade, revealing his superiority complex and arrogance. In one of the most dreadful moments of The Boys, he targeted one of his own teammates. This time, his victim was the Deep, and the weapon of choice? Timothy, Deep's loving octopus. During an awkward dinner with Homelander, the Deep, and his wife Cassandra, Homelander seized the opportunity to humiliate the Deep. Timothy, the Deep's beloved octopus companion, was brought to the table as a meal, turning the already uncomfortable atmosphere into something unbearable. The Deep saw Timothy as more than a friend, viewing the octopus as a sentient, intelligent being he shared deep connections with. When Homelander ordered him to eat Timothy, the Deep's horror was clear. He nervously laughed, hoping it was a joke, but Homelander's stern look left no doubt. Desperate, the Deep pleaded with Homelander, explaining that Timothy was his friend, but Homelander couldn't care less.
Holy shit, it's Timothy. Oh my god. It's Timothy. He's my friend. I can't eat him. I'm not gonna eat him.
Oh, yes,
no,
you
I'm not
can.
gonna.
Deep. Timothy is fucking delicious.
The room fell silent as the Deep wrestled with his fear and disgust. The Deep reluctantly picked up the fork, trembling as he ate Timothy, his beloved octopus, under Homelander's cruel watch. Homelander mocked him, relishing every moment of the Deep's torment, while Cassandra applauded his loyalty, adding to the humiliation. This act scarred the Deep, deepening his desperation for Homelander's approval and deteriorating his mental state. It mirrored Homelander's own dehumanization by Vought, as he used psychological torture to assert his power. But this is nowhere near as shocking as the final incident of this video. The last one on this list, and one of the most chilling moments in The Boys, was when Homelander killed an innocent civilian for no good reason. In the final moments of Season 3, as public unrest over his actions grow, Homelander takes center stage to address his supporters. While introducing his son, Ryan, to the crowd, a protester throws something at him, prompting an immediate reaction. Rather than showing restraint or understanding, Homelander's response is chillingly ruthless. In a display of pure malice, he uses his heat vision to explode the protester's head in broad daylight, an innocent man killed on a whim. The crowd's reaction only compounds the evil of the act. Instead of reconciling in horror, they cheer in support of Homelander's murder. This wasn't just an act of violence, it was a compulsive, unchecked abuse of power. His brutal disregard for human life exposed the depth of his sociopathy, proving that his thirst for power far outweighed any shred of compassion. The consequences were devastating. Homelander not only tightened his grip on his followers, but also cemented his descent into pure evil. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video about 10 hidden details in The Boys you definitely missed.